really difficult. I'm looking back at the records, and of course Jack Goff won the very first race of the year in the wet at Brands Hatch, so he's got to start as a favourite, particularly as the Dynamics Hondas, he's got Cammish alongside him, struggled in the wet, and we know that they are guessing on their setup because they haven't found the ideal wet setup for that car yet.
Now the difference between Brands and here for Jack Goff is that he's got 31 kilos of weight. In the wet, does the weight help because it sort of keeps you on the ground a bit more, helps with traction, or is it as big a hindrance as it would be in dry conditions? How does it work?
Well, it's definitely not as much of a hindrance.
Right.
Nothing like, and 30 odd kilos is only about a couple of tenths if you could measure it anyway. It really is no different at all until you get over 50 kilos in the wet, then it starts to affect it. So it's as though he had no weight, really.
On that last walk I did up the pit lane, one or two of the engineers were saying it's going to be a procession this race, too much standing water, but that doesn't really allow for the fact that these are touring car drivers and they're going to want to get stuck in as best they can because there are points at stake here.
They will race as hard as they possibly can. I mean, you know, they're racing drivers. They'll drive as hard as they can. Some of them will feel there's a plus to be gained in these conditions. Some drivers are a little bit nervous. I think it'll be a great race. I'm looking forward to it.
They start like this, with Jack Goff on pole position for round 16. Dan Cammish with him at the front of the grid, ballast free. Matt Simpson and Brett Smith, teammates from Eurotech, are on the second row, and then it's Tom Ingram starting fifth ahead of Josh Cook. Rob Austin goes from seventh, new livery for Sam Tordoff's car for this anniversary weekend. Then you've got Ash Sutton, also a new livery for him. Tom Oliphant rounding out the top 10. 11th, Andrew Jordan, and then it is Matt Neal after a spin. He will start 12th ahead of Adam Morgan and Mike Bushell. Colin Turkington, championship leader, is only 15th, one to watch, so also Tom Chilton alongside. What about Rob Collard in these conditions? He's going to be another man to watch with Rory Butcher for company. Senna Proctor with no weight on the car. He starts on the 10th row alongside Bobby Thompson. Then it's Chris Smiley and Ollie Jackson with Croft winner Dan Lloyd. A lot of work for him to do from row 12 ahead of James Cole. Then Jason Plato and Aidan Moffat, two more to keep an eye to, starting on row 13. Michael Caine and Stephen Jelly come next. Then Sam Smelt starting 29th. And welcome back Ant Water-Neals now with the MG. And welcome back Dan Welch. He moves to the trade price cars with Brisky Racing, Volkswagen CC, operated by Team Hard. And he and Ant Water-Neals back into the championship. So as the cars work their way to the mid part of the infield, let's try and grab a word if we can with Dan Lloyd, sitting 23rd on the grid. Dan, a lot of spray out there, and how much standing water is there for you?
Yeah, it's not too bad, I don't think. Car actually feels quite good. We've got new tyres on the front. So yeah, not too bad at the minute, but I don't think my vision's going to be great going into the first corner.
And in this race, is it about gaining places or is it just about survival? Because it is going to be a real test out there.
I think survival will be gaining places, to be honest with you. So a bit of both. I want to push, but yeah, it's gonna be a tough race with very little vision.
And the other thing you can't legislate for is what other drivers around you are doing. You might have a plan, but somebody else might make a mistake and you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, going into the first hairpin, you don't know if people are gonna brake at the right spot, but I can only do what I can do. So yeah, let's see what we can do.
Well, after Croft, expectations are high. Good luck, Dan.
Thank you.
So it was a great result for Dan Lloyd and for BTC Norlin, taking that victory in the third race at Croft. And you can see just what the spray is like. You've heard from the grid people talking about the dramas of condensation inside the cars. So there's an awful lot that the teams, the drivers have to factor into all of this, irrespective of the fact that there is a race at stake and there are points for the championship and.
Yeah, and also that they want to keep their car in one piece for that third race because that's double points. So any serious damage now would rule them out of that opportunity. So they don't want to do that. Norlin, of course, I've mentioned it before, with a team that didn't test here at the tyre test, which was dry, so they haven't lost any of the information. It's worked out perfectly for them.
This is true. Well, there is Jack Goff. It was an awful weekend at Croft, but he's certainly bounced back in style, with or without weight. There he is, up near the front, at the front, pole position. Dan Cammish, expectations are still high of Dan for that first victory. It could come here, of course. And then on the second row, you've got Matt Simpson, Alton Park winner. Brett Smith, again, another ripper effort in qualifying, but he just needs to iron out these wild moments he occasionally has. has.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you get to the front of the grid in a touring car race. We know he's a champion. He won in minis.
That's right.
There's no question that he can do it, but it's a whole different ballgame in touring cars. But it's better to have the speed first and hone out the racing skills afterwards than never have the speed at all, and Brett's certainly quick.
What about Colin Turkington from 15th? Where's your prediction for him by the end?
Well, again, actually, look, generally you would say that the rear-wheel drive cars wouldn't do so well in these conditions, but again, he did pretty well at Brands in the wet, so I expect him to come forward. The start is going to be dangerous with visibility in a narrow track, though.
It is round 16 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. It is 12 wet laps. The circuit is very treacherous indeed. It is Jack Goff on pole position, and that energetically waved green flag at the back means that everybody has paddled their way back from the warming up lap. We are good to go racing. Jack Goff on pole position, looks towards the lights, which go red. Lights out, it is blast off. Good start by Goff, bit of wheel spin from Camish. A really good start by Ash Sutton. Look at the Subaru. Mike Bushell gets squeezed out towards the dirt on the outside line, so it is Goff ahead of Camish, down towards Richards for the first time. Look round the outside, there are cars on the grass as Ash Sutton trying to gain places. It's a Honda 1, 2, 3, and the drama has started already. Jason Plato is off the road, and so is Ollie Jackson.
Yeah, what a great start for Ash Sutton. Look, he's challenging at the front. He's pushing up the inside of Camish for second or third place. Matt Simpson's gone all the way off. He tried to go around the outside, lost traction, and is on the grass.
And can he keep the momentum and get back on? He will be able to, but he's losing place after place. Goff leads the way. Ash Sutton then from 9th on the grid, round the outside of Camish, goes second. Fantastic move. Camish third, but under attack. Tom Ingram is in that battle pack as well. Look in the spray. Ingram goes up the inside of Camish now. 66 kilos on the Toyota Ballast Free Honda. They're side by side. Camish on the outside. Jack Goff really deep into Agostini, looking for the traction. Sutton, the real hero of the first lap. Second contact. Camish and Ingram, and that gets Camish sideways, but he hangs onto the place. Just Ingram back up the inside of him. Josh Cook fifth.
Yeah, more contact as they come through the kink, and that's let Josh Cook up the inside into Oggies.
So now Josh Cook comes up to attack Camish. He's going to get through, and Tom Ingram on the wrong line now. He's going to lose more ground if he's not careful, because Brett Smith tries to find a way through. Sam Tornoff is there as well, so Ingram was trying to get one place. He's lost a couple by being hung out to dry on the outside. Sam Tornoff's new livery highlighter pen is in the mix as well. Perfect colour for the conditions. You can spot that a mile away. But Jack Goff leads while all the elbows out racing has been going on behind him. Replay of the start. This is Jason Plato.
Plato with James Cole on his left, gets a good start, as you'd expect from rear-wheel drive. Sees a bit of a gap developing up the right-hand side. He looks to be safe and secure at this moment. Oh, and then they get on the brakes, and he just gets bustled in the middle. There's contact from either side, and nothing Jason could do about that. He has actually continued.
This, the view from the Tom Chilton Ford as he accelerates away. Colin Turkington to the right. Rob Collard past. Tom Oliphant, slow start. To Oliphant. Collard involved as well, look.
Yeah, looked like Collard got a tap from the rear, and that turned him left across the front, didn't it? Again, visibility, narrow track, there's nothing you could do about that.
So Ollie Jackson's race, sadly, is run, and Jack Goff leads Ash Sutton at the end of lap 1. 1.3 seconds between them. Dan Camish is third. Fourth is Cook. Fifth is Ingram. Down to sixth is Brett Smith. Collard look out of the race. Seventh, Sam Tornoff back challenging. Eighth is Rob Austin. Ninth, Adam Morgan. And 10th is Andrew Jordan.
Yeah, a couple of distinctive liveries. Ash Sutton's car in black and white monochrome, reflecting Jack Sears' original Austin Westminster, which is also painted on his crash helmet, and Tornoff there in the Pink Panther car, especially for this Diamond double meeting.
Down they come towards turn 3. Jack Goff trying to break clear then and see if he can build up the advantage over the rest. There is Sam Tornoff going through, powering his way down towards Agostini, chasing now after Brett Smith. Rob Austin 8th in the Alfa Romeo is behind him. So Mike Bushell we have lost on the opening lap. Rob Collard likewise. Senna Proctor is into the pit lane, and Ollie Jackson we'd seen be eliminated as well.
This might give us a different viewpoint. Look further back. There goes Sutton with his fabulous start. Look how it opened up beautifully. And look, then you had 4 cars together with actually, I think it was Turkington on the grass on the left. Could have been, I'm not sure, but there were 4 cars. Maybe it was Bushell, similar colours, but there were 4 cars all together, and they concertinaed. Maybe Bushell tried to come back onto the track, pinched everybody in, but there were 4 cars side by side.
Now have a look at this. Rory Butcher round the outside of Andrew Jordan. Great move coming onto Bentley Straight. The MG goes ahead of the BMW. Rory Butcher, of course, part of the Knockhill owning family. There is Rob Collard out of the race with damage, but that was really good stuff by Rory Butcher. The MG, a winning car, of course, here in the bus. It was the MG that Jack Goff had his first touring car race win with here. And Rory Butcher going great guns, getting ahead of Jordan. And that's Adam Morgan almost running out of road coming through the old S's. Brundle and Nelson, and has the Mercedes got a problem? The pace is affected, and so Rory Butcher is now right up behind the Lancastrian.
Well, remember how good... Oh, another move there. Andy Jordan's really struggling in these conditions, isn't he? He's getting mugged. Oliphant getting through on the inside as well. But remember that MG up at Croft in the wet, how good that was a couple of years ago. It's a good car in the wet. Conversely, although it works the tyres a bit hard in the dry, that's an advantage in the wet.
Chris Smiley in the BTC Norlin Honda you saw making progress. He started 21st. He is on a mission here. Jordan trying to fight back as they come over the timing line. Goff to Sutton, he's going up 2.6 seconds. Third is Camish. And then Rory Butcher is slow. Having talked about the MG.
Oh, he's going to get hit. He might get hit up the back if he's not careful.
Thankfully, everybody avoids him. Colin Turkington perilously close. So Ingram 5th, Smith 6th, 7th is Tordoff, 8th is Austin, 9th is Morgan, 10th is Smiley, 10th from 21st. How about this?
Yeah, what? Hold on, we've got lots of cars going.
Plato out of the pits, Rory Butcher stopping, Collard already parked.
Yeah. Well, that was nearly dangerous with Rory Butcher mired in the spray. Nobody could see him. Fortunately, Turkington just jinked out the way and avoided him, but that could have been nasty for a moment.
Very disappointing though for Rory Butcher. We just seen that great pass of Jordan. Suddenly the car slows, coming past the pits. So Jack Goff, it is, leading the way. We know the Eurotech cars are quick. He's been a winner. Matt Simpson has been a winner this year. And here he is with 2 pole positions already this weekend and a race lead of 2.608 seconds. Sutton's second. Now, what about him relative to Dan Camish? Their last lap, 3,000ths quicker, Camish compared to Sutton.
Yeah, good performance by Camish, because that car, again, they are guessing on the wet setup, but he's holding third at the moment in front of Josh Cook, doing a good job. Look, taking some wet lines, rounding outside, finding some grip, driving very well.
Now contact here, Colin Turkington and Matt Neal. Colin diving up the inside, Matt tries to turn in, and a little bit of a rub between the two of them. Nothing major, both survive.
Yeah, on a corner like that in the wet, there's as much grip round the outside as there is on the inside. So it's actually very difficult to get past somebody. And as you can see there, you've got better traction off the outside of the corner.
Now, Colin Turkington, remember, came here as the championship leader. He is still down in 15th place. So he's really struggling as a sideways Smiley. And that's Ingram in trouble. The man that's second in the championship has got a problem. It was something electrical that hit him yesterday in free practice. And Tom Ingram limps into retirement. Slow towards the S's, and Tom Ingram is out of the race, and straight away he's condemned for race 2.
What a disaster for him, because we were talking about him not having a mid-season slump, and then he's had 2 problems in the same weekend. Electrical problem yesterday, which required a new engine loom, which seemed to have problem solved, but maybe that has come back and the car seems to have just shut down again.
So Tom Ingram, stationary. Race leaders go through, and the gap is 3 seconds now. Goff to Sutton, 3rd is Camish, 4th is Cook, 5th is Tordoff, 6th is Austin, 7th Morgan, 8th Smith, he's dropping, 9th is Chris Smiley from 21st. He's on for the Forever Forward Award here from Dunlop, isn't he? And then in 10th it's Tom Oliphant, which is where he started.
The only man with a completely clear track in front of him and perfect visibility is, of course, Jack Goff. All the teams have put their pure wet setups on the car, slightly softer springs, dampers and roll bars. It wasn't a half and half situation, it was definitely a full wet situation. And Team Eurotech and Jack Goff seem to have got that nailed.
Where's the next battle going to come from? It's going to be Brett Smith and Chris Smiley, isn't it, for 8th place? The 2 Honda Civics, the old shape Civics. Look at Dan Lloyd. His progress has been exceptional as well, because he's up into 12th place, having started 23rd. And Dan Lloyd goes ahead of Andrew Jordan. Andrew's having a lean time here, as there is Tom Ingram, who at least is keeping dry, but he's a very disappointed driver.
He'll be massively disappointed, because although he hasn't, it won't affect his whole weekend, because race 3 was a separate qualifying. It's clearly a big loss of points in this race and makes it hard work in race 2. And in the wet, it's actually more difficult to make progress on the track because the field gets spread out with the spray.
The only consolation is that Colin Turkington is still in 14th place, but ironically, Turkington has just gained a place and a point because of the demise of Ingram.
Yeah, and interesting, Camish was flashing his lights at Sutton there. Sutton is the leading rear-wheel drive car. We're seeing the BMW struggle a bit. Turkington has made progress. Obviously, Collard was out at the start of Jordan, we've seen going backwards as well. But it looks like the rear-wheel drive cars don't suit these conditions as well. And Camish must feel that he's quicker. This is looking back from Neil's car at Turkington coming up behind. Turkington getting a tighter line in, but loses a little bit on the exit.
And Walter Neal's off the road, so that's both MGs in trouble. And Walter Neal's, thankfully, just kisses the Armco and will rejoin behind Stephen Jelly. But drivers struggling with the conditions as well as mechanical dramas now. And of course,
a little bit of contact with Aidan Moffat, that's what turned him round.
But under a yellow flag. Yellow flag waved at the S's and contact, so that's not going to go down well with the officials, is it?
No, true, but with visibility and side by side into the corner, you know, they may not have even seen each other, but yes, it's not easy.
And Walter Neal's then into a spin, but thankfully rejoining us there. Look, Chris Smiley goes ahead of Brett Smith, 8th from 21st now. Chris Smiley, when he came into the championship, was confident and he said, I'll get there. Well, he's proved this year that he's a good, feisty racer. Here's more evidence.
Yeah, he's had a whole series of top 10s early in the season. Had that second place as well. Look, it looks like Brett Smith's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
As Oliphant's car goes through.
Yeah, remember in the wet at Donington, Chris Smiley was good, and he's progressing nicely here. It was there that he had his clash with Camish. There you've got Tom Oliphant having gained ground and Brett Smith dropping back. Of course, the other Eurotech run car of Max Simpson we saw going off early in the race. That's 22nd now, having been all over the grass at Wilson.
Oliphant had a couple of... Max Simpson stopped as well. It's becoming a car park, isn't it? And BTCC car park, so I don't know what happened. This could be just water getting into things. You know, it does happen when it's this much. These cars don't have too much insulation or anything else because of the weight, and water can get in places that it's not supposed to get.
So I was just going to offer you, is water in the works a realistic suggestion, or is it a flippant theory? But it might well be the case. There are some rather nervous faces then for Eurotech, the Wix Racing team, because Brett Smith is dropping and Jack Goff leads by 3.9 seconds. His last lap was still quicker than that of Ash Sutton. Most drivers getting faster and faster as the race wears on now, but you can see that the gaps have opened up, perhaps inevitable in these conditions. Matt Neal, you're looking back from his car now. Colin Turkington, 13th and 14th, the two champions.
Yeah, Neil with a different setup on board to Camish, but obviously started further back as well. And Turkington, these two old stagers, they won't do anything risky in this. They know they've got to play the long game over this race. And Turkington will be careful.
But behind them both and catching is Tom Chilton, and he's got nothing to lose, so he might want to try and find a way past. So they've got to be careful not only of the battle they're having with one another, but also what the Chilton effect is going to be when Tom arrives on the scene. The leader has just gone over the line, 3 seconds to the good, and Matt Simpson got a whack there from Dan Welch, broken suspension.
It's locked the wheel's locked up.
That's why he's out of the race.
Yeah.
So contact it was, and Dan Welch, of course, returning to the championship, driving for Team Hard. Drivers going offline there, just looking after the wet rubber, and Ash Sutton now faster than Jack Goff. The gap is down to 3 seconds. He took last time something like 9/10 out of the race leader, so the gap is certainly coming down. Ash Sutton is on a mission, and there, look, Colin Turkington again tries to find a way past Matt Neal, but he can't do it.
The Subarus have had an engine upgrade this weekend, new bearings in the engine, and engine supplier Swindon says that, now that we've got Chilton up the inside of Turkington, that move on Neil has opened the door for Chilton, and he's the one making progress. But yeah, the Subaru's a little bit more power, and Swindon saying they have the same power now as the Toga engine. Turkington fighting back. Remember,
this is for 14th place. Turkington fighting to make sure he stays in the points. They're being caught by Bobby Thompson as Chilton goes round the outside, coming out of turn 3. The Ford Focus on the outside line, down towards Agostini. Do they rub again? Turkington is absolutely determined not to give up the place, but Chilton is equally gung-ho about going round the outside. This is his view. The BMW just comes back out ahead. More contact between them, but Turkington having to stick out his elbows here. He is fighting for survival in the points.
Yeah, I'm not so sure he'll be able to stay there for too much longer, though. The front-wheel drive car of Chilton looks like it's got a bit more grip. Look, he's taking the tight lines and still getting off the corner pretty well.
Thompson inching up behind them, and Aidan Moffat's doing a good job as well. He's up into 17th place, having started 26th on the grid, and that's Mike Bushman's car that's been stranded there for quite a long time, but disappointing because we've seen good pace on occasion out of Mike this year, but it's another negative result. Now in the Forever Forward element, the two BTC Norlin cars have got 13 places gained each. How's that for teamwork? Yeah. So 13 places gained by Dan Lloyd and by Chris Smiley, and 9 by Dan Welch.
Yeah, good effort, although Dan did start at the back, so a lot of those positions have been picked up through retirement.
True enough. But he's creeping forward all the time. There's the leader, remember him, Jack Goff is on his own. And the gap is coming down, it's down to 2.7 seconds. Ash Sutton is becoming the man to watch. Double winner at Croft, 9th on the grid, but he's absolutely storming now. Dan Camish is 3rd ahead of Josh Cook, and Sam Tornoff is up to 5th. Rob Austin is in 6th place now. We're on lap 7 of the 12.
And look at that Subaru dancing through for grip as it came through Riches. That front end shot showed you just how hard Ash Sutton's working behind the wheel. That car really was twitching about.
There's Rob Austin, who's coming under attack now from Adam Morgan. And look, Chris Smiley is getting closer and closer. Tom Oliphant is next, and then it's Dan Lloyd to round out the top 10.
Rob Austin, another one with a slightly special livery on the roof to celebrate the Alfa Romeo from 1994, the nice red colours.
And Adam Morgan tucked up behind. He's going to have to start defending, I think, pretty soon, because Chris Smiley is getting closer and closer to him, the Northern Irishman. This is on board with Tom Chilton. Now, Chilton 15th when he came over the line. In other words, he's still in the spray generated by Colin Turkington's BMW. Lap 7 of 12 we're on now.
The tyres will not be suffering too much. There's plenty of water out there, so the tyres will stay in good condition. There shouldn't be too much drop-off unless the drivers are too heavy-handed on the throttle on front-wheel drive and just lose the edge of the tyre. Chilton's view.
Turkington still stuck behind Matt Neal. Aidan Moffat's been another one, carving his way up the order. There is James Cole, the second of the Motorbase yellow liveried Fords. And here, Tom Chilton tries again to find a way up the inside of Colin Turkington's BMW, which is looking for a way past Matt Neal. Everybody surviving and coping at the moment with these conditions pretty impressively. We've had people retiring through mechanical dramas, granted, but actually we haven't had quite as many spins as you might have anticipated, given how nasty the conditions are. But Ash Sutton proving yet again to be a real star because he's getting closer and closer to Jack Goff up front.
Good on board as they come through Williams onto the back straight. The driver's not challenging the apex at all because there's more grip in the same situation there through the bomb hole, staying in the middle of the road where there's more grip. The good, savvy drivers will feel where the grip is on different places. Generally, it's off the apex, which is polished and most oily and rubbered in. But the savvy drivers will find the grip wherever it is on the track.
Rob Austin's coming under attack, and Chris Smiley actually is being attacked again by Tom Oliphant. Tom has lost the place to him, but he's fighting back. There are the leaders. 2.4 seconds now is the margin. On this pace, can Ash Sutton get close enough to challenge on the last lap?
Yeah, I mean, they're still getting quicker. They both set personal best laps on the last lap, and Sutton was 3.5 tenths quicker on that lap. So, yes, they are getting quicker, but whether it's a case of Goff not taking risks and managing that gap and whether he has anything in left, I don't know.
Let's see. 4 laps to go at the end of this one. Matt Neal, you're looking back from his car at Turkington and then at Chilton. Up they come. Everybody having started on the wet tyre, so your soft option tyre goes out of the window on a wet race. There is Chilton up the inside. He's going to get past Turkington. Can he make a move on Matt Neal as well? Not quite. And he doesn't get past the BMW either, coming out of the corner. The rear-wheel drive BMW just squirts out of the hairpin ahead. So Chilton tried his best, but it wasn't to work. Great driving from Turkington this. He's defending his place, and all the time he's attacking Matt Neal. Yeah, and the trouble is, because you take those wide lines around the outside, you just, to the driver behind, it just looks like you're opening the door and offering the opportunity to go up the inside. Bobby Thompson there, it was his birthday on Friday, I think. He's having a great race because although the position is only 16th, he's battling with these guys, far more experienced guys up the front. So hats off to Bobby Thompson. He was certainly no slouch on his way to many race wins and a title in the Volkswagen Racing Cup. And Bobby Thompson, new to touring cars this year, showing good pace, more seat time, more experience, gets better and better. Ash Sutton, fastest lap of the race, hunting down the leader, Jack Goff. Chilton up the inside of Turkington again. Still doesn't work for him. Colin Turkington onto Bentley straight ahead, stays ahead and also gaps him by a length. Aidan Moffat now comes up to challenge Bobby Thompson. James Cole is next in that queue. And down they head at the end of Bentley Straight to Brundle and Nelson. Andrew Jordan now starting to close. Look on Brett Smith for 11th and 12th places. But this line behind Matt Neal is getting longer.
It is, isn't it? If they get too close, you start to feel something's got to give. At the moment, Matt Neal's just trying to survive.
Leaders go through. And a new fastest lap of the race by Jack Goff at 2:18.9, beaten by Ash Sutton at 2:18.3. The gap is down to 1.8 seconds. If Jack Goff is just looking after the machinery and the tyres, he's going to have to up his pace a little bit, because relentlessly Sutton is closing lap after lap after lap. Is the margin going to be enough for Jack Goff to hang on in there to the very end? Do not adjust your sets. The new livery on Ash Sutton's car goes through the hairpin. Here is Austin, Morgan and Smiley now. 6th, 7th, 8th into Richards. We're on lap 9.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Jack Goff is pushing as hard as he can, evidenced by that fastest lap last lap, but it's not enough. Sutton was quicker still.
What can Smiley do about Morgan? And where in all of this is Dan Lloyd, still 10th, creeping up onto the back of Tom Oliphant. Great to see the Alfa Romeo going strongly once again in the hands of Rob Austin. And this is Dan Lloyd's view. He's heading down towards the left, turn 3 now. Turns his way through the corner, hunting for the grip. Tom Oliphant tantalisingly out of reach up the road for the moment, as again Turkington tries to attack Matt Neal. And look at Thompson and Moffat, they're getting closer. Turkington almost into the tail of the Honda Civic now.
Yeah, and obviously Colin is trying to look after his tyres, hope Matt Neal wears his fronts a little bit with too much use of the throttle, that he'll be able to turn underneath him, Turkington that is, and maybe just out-traction him out of a corner sooner or later.
Chilton attacks Turkington, Bobby Thompson creeping up onto them, Aidan Moffat next in the queue. Look back, then you've got James Cole. Michael Caine at his home circuit is 19th, and despite a spin, Antwater Neals is in 20th place. This, again, is Chilton's view. He's in 15th place, but he's trying as hard as anybody out there. Turkington again tries to get up the inside of Matt Neal's Honda. Doesn't work. Chilton likewise against Turkington's BMW. Doesn't work.
And when you're driving the car, it just feels like you're in slow motion, because you just can't put the power down. You want the car to go. You can see that gap opening up in front of you, but you just can't put the car there because there isn't the grip.
So frustrating for the drivers. Now, Smith and Jordan, that gap is coming down. Chilton pulls out to have a go at the end of Bentley Straight against Turkington. He's got the inside line, but then there'll be the outside for part 2 of the S's. There's a rub between them. Turkington hangs on to the place. Chilton now tries to get the undercut, get the inside down towards Bombhole. Can he do it? No, he cannot. Colin Turkington, perhaps he has never worked so hard for a 14th place, but boy, is he doing a good job of defending. Here are the leaders. The gap is 11/10ths of a second now. Sutton is almost on the back of Jack Goff. This is lap 10. Under 3 laps to go now.
It's getting close. These two are both driving right on the edge, and fair play to them. It's not easy in these conditions, but sometimes keeping your concentration up is the best thing through turn 3, round the outside, both of them taking the same line.
Also in the Watton Croft, Ash had his first touring car win in his MG days, so in these nasty conditions he is not phased at all, nor is Matt Neal. Looking the way that he defends from Colin Turkington. 13th, 14th, these two absolutely as one coming out of Riches. Turkington tries to get up the inside, Chilton moves to the inside as well, and look in the background, Michael Caine is off, and so also is Antwater Neals. They're both back on again as if nothing had happened, and in the same order, Volkswagen ahead of MG.
Just a bit of synchronised sliding, that would be.
Indeed so. Chilton still attacks Turkington as they come then now into this fast left at turn 3. Turkington goes wide looking for grip. Chilton tries to get up the inside. That doesn't work for him. Ash Sutton last time did another fastest lap of the race in the 2:18s, 2:18.2. Aidan Moffat's coming under attack in the background. Look from James Cole. Turkington sees a gap on the inside, but just can't get the drive out of the corner. Carl sideways as they apply the power. James Cole at the back of that little group. Now there are the race leaders, and Ash Sutton is almost close enough now to make his move. Lots of traction dramas for Jack Goff as the car slides its way out of the S's that time. He's being patient with the throttle, but the frustration is, and the worry is, and the pressure is Ash Sutton getting closer and closer and closer behind him.
And the other thing is that Jack Goff knows Ash Sutton very well indeed. They're both good friends, and he knows exactly how Ash Sutton races, which is 100%, and he goes for everything.
Austin versus Morgan. Adam up the inside of Rob. There's a lead, there's a slide. Mercedes will go through with it. There's more contact. Adam Morgan backs out of that, but Rob Austin is wide. Look at Chris Smiley trying to dive bomb the pair of them. Rob Austin stays ahead. Now, did Adam Morgan self-censor there, as in, because there was a bit of a rub, he didn't force the issue and backed out of it, ready to challenge again? If he did, that was very good driving. Rob Austin hanging onto the place. Now, this is Chilton versus Turkington, take 39.
Yeah, has he managed to do it? He has finally managed to do it through Williams onto the Bentley straight. He's been trying to pull that manoeuvre for so long, and he's managed to do it. Look how Jack Goff straightens the car up. He wants to take the lock off the steering as quickly as possible in the corner when he's putting the power down, so he can use the maximum traction of the front wheels while the lock's off, and Morgan sliding big time.
And into the tyres. How much damage will that have done?
Only gently. He bounced off nicely, and he'll continue. That looked like it was at Riches.
It was, and this is what happened to him under braking.
He locked the rears up a little bit on the slightly damper inside line and couldn't save it. Judicious use of a bit of throttle there to turn the car. And fortunately, he went in at just a glancing blow to the banded tyres, and that sent him back on his route.
So he got away lightly with that. We've got one more lap to run at the end of this. And Jack Goff now really having to think about where he positions the car to defend, because Ash Sutton from 9th on the grid is on the tail of the pole man. It's front-wheel drive Honda, rear-wheel drive Subaru, carrying on that good performance that we saw from Ash across bits of touring car line the road on Bentley Straight. Down now towards Brundle and Nelson they come. Jack Goff leading the way. Is Sutton close enough to have a go here? No, he's not, but he's got time in hand, because the pace of the car is such that with another lap to run at the end of it, he should be able to find a way through. But Jack Goff has got to defend now like never before. Look at it come across this contact, but he's still in the lead, but only just. But you've got to say he's on borrowed time here. Sutton is much the quicker, and Goff slides wide, just gets it across the front and hangs on to the lead.
Yeah, that is the line. Goff knows where the Subaru will be quicker, which is on the exit of the slow corners using the traction, which is why he pulled across immediately out of the complex. But around the faster corners, the bomb hole, he can take that wider line and use a bit more of the road and the grip.
So the two of them nose to tail, both of them members of the British Racing Drivers Club Superstars programme to nurture young British talent. You can see why they were chosen. They are miles ahead of anybody else. 10 seconds to the good they are over Dan Camish. Nose to tail, Goff versus Sutton down towards Riches. The Honda leads the Subaru. One more lap to go. Can Jack Goff hang on in there? This has got to become the world's widest Honda Civic. Otherwise, Ash Sutton will be through in a heartbeat. To the hairpin at Wilson they come. He goes one side, he goes the other. Jack Goff cannot afford to be distracted and go even slightly offline. 2 corners done.
Yeah, that was one of the places the Subaru could have ducked underneath, but again, clever use of track positioning by Goff on the way in. He went to the middle of the road and just defended enough, but gave himself enough of a line out of it. Here's another one coming up out of this hairpin. Is Sutton close enough? He's going to close up under the brakes, but he tried to make him defend. He's looking at the inside. He may well get the traction off the corner, but Goff's taking the faster outside line, just comes out in front.
So Jack Goff hangs on to the race lead. Ash Sutton looking everywhere to try to find a way past. Now, where is the next opportunity? Or is every corner going to be an opportunity? Ash Sutton has got to try and force the issue here. They turn their way through Oggies up towards Williams and onto Bentley Straight, but Jack Goff is defending for all he's worth.
Out of Nelson at the end of the straight, the right-hander where Goff had to defend heavily last time, and in the run-up to the line are the 2 final places.
OK, so take a big deep breath, and here we go, down Bentley Straight. Jack Goff, it is, leading the way. Ash Sutton thinks about the inside line, and a yellow flag in the background suggesting somebody else has had a drama, but there the leaders come towards the S's. Jack Goff leading by, what, a couple of lengths, but Sutton closes the door again. Jack Goff slides, Sutton's up the curb, but Jack Goff just had enough in hand to be able to move across. 2 corners to go effectively now. They come through sideways into bomb hole. Can Jack Goff scoop it all up again? He can, but Sutton gets into the back of him. Jack Goff is on the right line. Sutton goes to the outside of Coram. Fantastic race, side by side. Sutton's going to do it all the way around the outside. He's almost off the road, but he's going to have the inside line for the first part of the last element of the line they touch. Sutton will go through into the race lead. He's at the curb. He's going to go out wide. Now the drag to the line. Sutton leads. Which way does Jack Goff go? It's going to be a virtual dead heat between the 2 of them. Sutton is ahead. Here comes Jack Goff. He's got his nose in front, and Jack Goff is going to do it on the line. Fantastic. Jack Goff wins by 0.152 of a second. Absolutely stunning. Ash Sutton, but Jack Goff got it on the line by a Nat Crotchet. What a race!
Well, we're celebrating 60 years of the BTCC. We've seen some fantastic moments over the history. That is another one that will go down in the annals of British racing, touring car racing greats. And a sensational overtake by Sutton round the outside of Coram, only to lose it on the run to the line. What a brilliant finish.
Absolutely fantastic, and two young guns going for it. Brilliant racing, no silliness, and in those conditions as well, major laudings. It's a shame that you have to have a gap of 0.152 because both deserve to be on the top.
Well, everybody is up clapping and applauding. What a fantastic race that was. A little bit of history here, actually, because Goff is now going to be on pole for race 2 and for race 3. That will be the first time ever in the modern era a driver's been on pole for all 3. Look at this. Goff gets a good exit, and he just has enough straight line speed to pull Sutton before the line. The closest of finishes, just 0.152. That's a reaction in the Eurotech pits. Could you imagine how great they must feel? They've seen a fantastic race.
And so have we. Wow. Must go talk to the engineer that said it'd be a procession race one, because that was an absolute thriller. And well done, Jack Goff, because he could see Ash Sutton coming, couldn't he? Lap by lap, the Subaru getting larger and larger and larger in the mirrors. And Jack Goff, well, he deserved that. That is a second victory of the season for him. All of that done with 27 kilos of weight. But an absolutely brilliant drive. And Jack is somebody that just gets better and better season after season.
And the other thing is he gave Sutton racing room. On the outside of Coram, he could have leant on him, put him on the grass, didn't hit him even into the last corner. He just bided his time, picked a good exit. Yeah. You know, that was great racing. Fair, great racing. Hard but fair.
Tell you what, you don't need a double espresso to perk you up. You just watch a touring car race, don't you? If that's blown the cobwebs away. What a drive by Jack Goff then to win by 0.152 of a second. There were more people behind them, but 9 seconds adrift, 9.5 seconds back was Dan Camish for 3rd and Josh Cook for 4th. Sam Tordoff took 5th. 6th was Rob Austin. Chris Smiley 7th. Let's just confirm the result. Round 16 won by Jack Goff. He's also the winning independent. 0.152 of a second from Ash Sutton. Dan Camish 3rd. 4th, Josh Cook ahead of Sam Tordoff and Rob Austin 6th. 7th, Chris Smiley up from 21st ahead of Tom Oliphant. 9th, Dan Lloyd up from 23rd. And 10th, Adam Morgan. Even with his spin, he got into the top 10. Brett Smith 11th ahead of Andrew Jordan. Tom Chilton 13th ahead of Matt Neal, and Colin Turkington 1 point for 15th place from Aidan Moffat. James Cole, Bobby Thompson dropped back a little bit towards the end, but he was 18th ahead of Michael Caine and Stephen Jelly. 21st, Dan Welch up from 31st on the grid. Sam Smelt was 22nd, Ant Wharton Eels 23rd. A lap down after a pit stop, Jason Plato. 3 laps down after problems, Senna Proctor, and the retirements, Matt Simpson, Tom Ingram, Rory Butcher, Mike Bushell, Rob Collard, and also Ollie Jackson. So what a race, and what has that done to the championship? Well, Colin Turkington's advantage increases but slightly because it's now 20 points over Tom Ingram, but Jack Goff, who came into the race 7th, is now 3rd ahead of Ash Sutton, who is up to 4th. 5th is Matt Neal, Andrew Jordan 6th, 7th Josh Cook ahead of Adam Morgan, then it's Tom Chilton 9th and Sam Tordoff rounds out the top 10. Well, Jack Goff will be absolutely delighted with that. Jeff Smith, the owner of Eurotech Racing, you saw celebrating in the garage with all of the Eurotech crew. Brett Smith may have dropped back, Matt Simpson may well have had to drop out of the race, but no argument about the result they wanted. It was a win, and the man that delivers it is Jack Goff, and he is understandably beside himself. That the drive of his life. If you remember the very first win, he had to defend from a race 3 reverse grid from Jason Plato breathing down his neck. Well, that was an even harder race.